covering sports for 30 years. It's one thing for an exhibition here, there, whatever, but you can't continue to be allowed to build a career without getting into the ring with fighters. And if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, Shannon.
Ultimately, boxing get damaged.
Well, I think so. But I think boxing damages itself left, right and centre. But I think the reputability and the credibility of some of these boxing sanctioning bodies is poor anyway.
Nobody can knock him for this. This is now business. This is business. For Jake Paul, absolutely crazy. Jake Paul is a domestic level professional fighter here.
Stephen A. Smith blasts the announcement, arguing that Jake Paul has never taken boxing with the seriousness it deserves. He says Jake's career has relied on exhibitions and opponents who were never true challenges, including retired fighters and men long past their competitive peak. Smith insists that this pattern disrespects the sport and claims that the matchup with Anthony Joshua shows just how poorly boxing is being treated.
He can't continue to get away with stepping into the ring against strikers for the UFC, basketball players, unknown boxers.
Jordan expresses deep concern over the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul matchup, saying it exposes major problems in modern boxing. He points out that money and publicity have overtaken the integrity of the sport, pushing fighters and promoters to prioritize hype over genuine competition. Jordan warns that when boxing turns into spectacle instead of skill, it risks losing the respect built over generations. He explains that this fight reflects a troubling trend, where financial gain outweighs the athletic challenge. And he argues that using a world-class champion like Joshua to elevate someone who hasn't faced elite opposition damages the credibility of professional boxing. According to him, turning a championship-level athlete into a prop for a commercial event diminishes the achievements of true lifelong boxers.
To me, is everything that's wrong with boxing. It's a money play, nothing wrong. I don't begrudge Anthony Joshua getting 50 million quid for an easy night's work. That's fantastic returns. Most people would take it. From the boxing world, Jake Paul is now a professional fighter. Whether we categorise him as a YouTuber or not, he's licensed to fight, which means that the governing body should be suggesting that this is not a fight that possibly they should be looking to sanction.
Yeah.
But they will, because the sanctioning fees will be enormous. Anthony Joshua will not lose his legacy like some people are suggesting, because no one will remember it in 2 or 3 years' time. If he embarrasses himself in there, they'll remember it. If he goes in and knocks him out in 30 seconds flat, or turns it into a little bit more of a sort of Jake LaMotta raging bull, holding him up for a few rounds and then knocking him out, then people will forgive it. He'll get a big bag of money, which most people in the world would take, and move on. And then we'll see if he fights anybody meaningful in the year. I mean, it is like sport has become, and what I got my head around on Saturday night was the entertainment value of Conor Benn and Chris Eubank. The fighting of itself, I could be all pious about it, but the entertainment industry is so prevalent in sport now. This is entertainment. This is going to have hundreds of millions of people watching it, and Anthony Joshua gets paid, and Jake Paul hopefully gets flattened.
Simon, I know the money's there, but does ultimately boxing get damaged?
Well, I think so. But I think boxing damages itself left, right and centre. But I think the reputability and the credibility of some of these boxing sanctioning bodies is poor anyway. But I think it does get damaged.
Even if it's an exhibition fight, which it might well be.
Well, then what's the jeopardy in that? If it's an exhibition fight, which it shouldn't be, if it's a proper fight, then Jake Paul is going to get demolished.
Johnny Nelson calls the matchup absolutely crazy and genuinely dangerous. He stresses that this isn't a typical crossover event. It's a real fight with real consequences. Nelson respects Jake Paul's bravery, but questions the logic of stepping into the ring with a proven heavyweight champion. He notes that the shock comes from how serious the contest actually is, because unlike exhibitions, this fight has no safety buffers. Nelson adds that while Jake has shown skill and confidence, none of his previous opponents come close to Joshua's level. He believes Jake's courage is impressive yet alarming, given the risk of stepping in with a world-class heavyweight.
Because of Anthony Joshua's desire to be in the history books, to be a 3-time heavyweight champion of the world. To me, it shows me his desire. Pick up 50 million along the way. Nobody can knock him for this. This is now business. This is business. For Jake Paul, absolutely crazy. Jake Paul is a domestic level professional fighter here in the UK. Would he win a British title? No, I don't think so. So now they're putting this domestic level fight in with a former heavyweight 2-time champion of the world. The weight is 245. So I think last time Anthony Joshua weighed around that, it was when he boxed Usyk. That means he's got to be fight fit on point, because his last fight he was 18 stone. I think it was 254 against Danny Dubois. So now he basically saying you've got to get yourself in position, get yourself fit, and get yourself ready for fight. It's not tiddlywinks. This is a fight. It's not a push and a pull. You know, so as long as it's not a push and a pull, and don't put me down and don't touch me in the build up to this fight. You know, remember when McGregor and Mayweather, they had this little side deal, don't touch me in the build up to this. If this is a real legitimate fight, Jake Paul is absolutely crazy. If not crazy, he's super brave, and it'll be interesting to see.
Well, what do you think? Yeah, because you said that before when we spoke about it being a proper fight or not. And Eddie Hearn and Paul's promoter, Nikisa Badarin, have both said in the last couple of days it will be a proper fight. And now you've heard the details, 8 rounds, 3 minutes around, 10-ounce gloves. Do you believe it when they say that it's going to be a proper fight?
I do believe it because AJ's involved, and I think AJ'd struggle to he's going to take enough flack over this, but again, it's money talk. So I think AJ will struggle because it's an Owen situation. If he goes in there and Jake Paul lasts the distance, what does he tell you about AJ? Apart from he's just earned an extra 15 million quid. If he goes there and struggles with Jake Paul, then what do you say about AJ? No, your heydays are well and truly over. If he goes in there and knocks him out, then I'll say that's to be expected. So the glory, there's probably not much glory in it, apart from the haters of Jake Paul to say, right, I've got rid of this kid. I think it's very brave of Jake Paul. So now the problem child has got to believe this fight's actually...
Tony Jeff gives a balanced perspective, saying that in boxing, anything can happen. He explains that preparation, mindset, and strategy can sometimes narrow the gap between fighters, even when experience levels are very different. Jeff points out that Jake Paul is younger than Joshua, which could give him advantages in stamina and recovery. Still, he admits Jake isn't on Joshua's technical level yet. However, he acknowledges Jake's dedication and improvement, saying that with the right game plan, unexpected outcomes are always possible. Jeff further highlights Jake's strong work ethic and willingness to train seriously for higher-level opponents. Though the experience gap remains huge, Jeff notes that effort, discipline, and focus can sometimes reduce physical disadvantages, adding nuance to the discussion.
Where Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, is, but I'm not going to say he's coming into his prime because he had some great wins earlier on in his career before he lost to Usyk twice. And by the way, when he did lose to Usyk, the last one was a split decision. It was a pretty close fight. So now this fight is matched, and I just want to look at the tail of the tape. Now looking at the age difference, we've got 28 years old compared to 36 years old. So I guess the advantage there goes a little bit towards Jake Paul. 28-year-old is better than a 36-year-old. But that being said, we've got talking about experience and everything else, what comes with being 36 years old at Anthony Joshua's level. And then, like I mentioned, the heavyweights kind of seem to prime a little bit older. Now, come down to the height and the weight. This is the big one. 6'1" versus 6'6". 200 pound versus 252 pound. We got a 252 pounder in Anthony Joshua. The reach advantage is a lot, which we would expect. Amateur fights, we can see that Jake's only had one, where AJ's had 43, but 43 of them are including at the highest level, Olympic level. And yes, he won the Olympic bloody gold medal, if I don't need to remind you. Then the pro record, Jake Paul has had 13 fights, lost 1. AJ has had 28 fights and he's lost 4 with 25 KOs. And the one person that Jake Paul lost to was Tommy Fury. Now, can we compare Tommy Fury with Anthony Joshua? Not at all. It's like night and day. So now I'm going to talk about the rules of this fight, and I'll give you my prediction, which is going to shock a lot of people after this. So, what are the rules? The bout will take place at a heavyweight, obviously. It's going to be 8 3-minute rounds. You might think, well, that's better.
Chalsanen says Jake Paul's critics will finally see the level of competition he faces when stepping in with a real professional fighter. Sonnen believes this matchup will reveal whether Paul's success is genuine or inflated by carefully selected opponents. He calls the fight a reality check that will show fans and analysts whether Jake truly belongs in serious boxing. Sonnen adds that this is a defining moment not only for Jake's career, but for the entire public perception of crossover boxing. By facing a world-class heavyweight, Jake will be judged by seasoned fighters and analysts, and the scrutiny will be intense. Sonnen says this is good for the sport because it forces standards to be upheld, ensuring that debates are based on real performance rather than marketing hype.